The following is a conversation with Mario Vela. Mario is the Assistant Vice Provost of Career Engaged Learning at UT San Antonio, aka the artist formerly known as UTSA. I sat down recently with Mario at a Cafe Connect event downtown to talk about talent and the emerging trends coming out of UT San Antonio. And one of the things that kept coming up that really blew my mind is that San Antonio, and UT San Antonio specifically, has secretly become this powerhouse for some of the greatest companies in the country to hire from. Whether it be Fortune 500 or some of the biggest names in tech, they are coming here regularly now to hire the incredible talent that we're producing. And so I was shocked to learn this. I know that there were so many things that I didn't expect to learn in this conversation. So buckle up, sit back and relax. You're going to enjoy this conversation, and I promise you, you're going to learn several things that you probably didn't know, and you're going to leave even more inspired and hopeful for the future of San Antonio. So check it out. This episode of Cilantro Diaries is brought to you by the Better Futures Institute. Better Futures Institute is a San Antonio-based think tank dedicated to advancing a culture of innovation, civic technology, and social impact. Through paid internships and fellowships, BFI empowers emerging leaders in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, to build the resilient and inclusive cities of the future. This episode is also brought to you by Imperium Wealth Management. Imperium Wealth Management builds financial plans and portfolios that take the pressure off, helping you enjoy today and stay ready for whatever's next. Now, enjoy this episode and conversation with Mario Vela.
So my name is Lorenzo Gomez, and I'm a San Antonio native. Grew up here. Big family of 7 kids. My parents are from Laredo, and I grew up sort of off West Avenue I-10, but I went to middle school right here at Tafoya Middle School, and I got another Tafoya Toro here. My buddy, my co-partner from the local, Kevin. So I got a couple Toros in the house here, and so I'm just really excited. Every time I get to come back, it's just really exciting. I'm here with my buddy Mario, who you're going to meet in a second, and I'm super excited. I'm really, a downtown guy. And so at Voice of San Antonio, we have an online contributor-based platform. And so it's really for anybody that wants to contribute a story, an idea, a hot take on what's going on in our city. We just launched it in March of this year. And since then, we've had over 1 million views. It's all been organic. It's been crazy. I write a lot. So I have a weekly column called The Urban Nerd, where I just write about everything urban. I'm just sort of geeky about it. I'm in the middle of a 12-part series about Project Marvel, which can be a little controversial, but we'll get to that later. The reason that I invited Mario here is that I'm constantly looking for these stories that I might run across that most people haven't heard yet. And I'm really obsessed with this notion of, how do we become the city that we have the potential to be? And I think that everybody in this room would agree that we have tremendous potential as a city. We have a lot of great things going on, but I feel like sometimes we might have a little bit of an inferiority complex, and maybe we don't, but this is how I see it. So I met Mario at an event, and I'm going to get the official bio out of the way. He's got a very long title, which is very impressive. It's like the intergalactic, he is the Assistant Vice Provost of Career Engaged Learning at UT San Antonio. And he's led major employer relations at the Kellogg School of Management and served as Director of Partnerships at HASE. Mario founded the HSI Career Collaborative, connecting employers with diverse talent. His expertise lies in global workforce readiness, mentorship, and career integrated learning. And the way that I like to say it is that he's almost like a talent drug dealer. It's like, hey, do you want some highly skilled talent? Like, what do you need? I got talent for you. And so I want to open this with a quick story. I met Mario at a fundraiser downtown, and we were just chatting, and he said something that really, really blew my mind. And in order to set up the story, I sort of want to take it back a little bit. So I spent 11 years working in downtown on the tech scene, working at Geekdom. If you've ever been to Geekdom downtown, so I used to run Geekdom for about 11 years, the 80/20 Foundation, and I was really obsessed with how do we create more startups? How do we attract more startups? How do we retain talent? How do we recruit talent? Our future depends on these things. And so I'm talking to Mario, not only is he a cool, handsome dude, but he said something about the students at UTSA that blew my mind. And he said something to the effect of, we have regularly some of the biggest names in tech coming and recruiting our students. We have Meta, which is Facebook. We've got Google, we've got Disney, we've got Netflix. And right there, my mind blew because I realized that the future of the economic development landscape here is that we need a thriving small business scene, which I think we have. But what's been missing are these really high-end jobs, these really stable jobs to come in and fill that top tier. And so I wanted to just kick it off real quick and say, what were your thoughts in that conversation? Because I feel like you live it,
Yeah.
but I was this sort of jaw drop guy going like, oh my gosh, there's hope for us, you know? And I think that a company like that, which is Rackspace, that changed my life.
Yeah.
And so the notion that these companies can come in and do it again is really why I wanted you to come here.
Okay. Well, Lorenzo, Center City, wonderful to be with you all. I'll start with my own story. So when I started at UT San Antonio 6 years ago, it was many of these employers weren't recruiting at UT San Antonio. So I restructured our division for the Career Center to be proactive in building relationships with employers. And so one of the first relationships that we built was with Meta. We had the conversation about, don't just recruit from one college, recruit from all our colleges, recruit engineers, scientists, business students, our liberal and fine arts students. And they said, you know what, let's experiment with UT San Antonio. Let's do a week-long program, right? And so Meta arrives, they have a team of about 10 people that it's different programs every day. And I introduce myself to the recruiter. I say, hi, I'm Mario. And she could care less about me. It's another university. It is, you know, she's just going, she has a whole week of working with us. And so I said, let me just make sure that the program is going well. By the end of the week, I go and I stop by. I introduce myself Friday, on Monday. Friday, I go back to her and she said, Mario. And I was surprised she knew my name because she could care less about me on Monday, right? And so then on Friday, she says, Mario, I don't understand why we haven't been recruiting at UT San Antonio. Why is it that we haven't been here? Your students are demonstrating that they are capable of working at our company, that they know about our company, and they want to help build with us. I reminded her that UT San Antonio is an engine of social mobility. It's a transformation that happens at our institution. We take it for granted here that half of our students at UT San Antonio are first gen. They're the first in their families to go to college. I'm first gen. I'm also from Laredo. And so it's that transformation that happens, and they want to work. They're ready to work. And the curriculum that we have aligns with their recruiting needs. And so that was the first taste of these tech companies wanting more. And so it happens, right? When you're looking at a competitive landscape, once one tech company hears that they're recruiting at an institution, other tech companies want to start recruiting.
You know, the reason that this is such a personal topic to me is that, you know, I grew up in San Antonio. I have no college degree. I went to Tafoya. And if you'd asked me back then, do you think that there's a place in this tech world for you? I would have said, absolutely not. And I didn't believe that there was a place in tech for me just because of my upbringing and where I grew up. And then this one little company called Rackspace was founded in San Antonio by 3 Trinity graduates, and it blew up, and they hired me, and they had no business hiring me. I should never got a job there. But it changed my life, you know, gave me a career, gave me skills, gave me a network, and it was truly remarkable. And I think that when I look at these companies, I see future stories of future Lorenzos that went to Tafoya or beyond to say, hey, these companies can actually change the trajectory of their life. And so I know you guys do a ton of work in first gen, you know, students. So will you just give the crowd a little bit of background on that? Because it's really impressive.
So when we're talking about our first gen students, UT San Antonio is one of the leaders nationally in supporting and building programming for those first gen students. We have mentorship programs, but not only do we have student to student mentorship, we have alumni to student mentorship. And then we also bring employers to mentor the students as well. And I'm talking about cross industry. We have companies in tech, in manufacturing, in finance and healthcare that are mentoring the students, because that's the engine of social mobility, is that social capital. How do things work in the world, right? And when you're first gen, you may be determined, but to give you a competitive advantage is how does it work? How does recruiting work, right? How does that look like? And so for us as an institution, it really is about breaking it down in a way that it's real. How many of you know how recruiting works? Like, you know, you go and do the interview, but we know working with so many different companies how that works. So it's our responsibility to develop those skills for our students.
I love that. You know, I think that there's this notion that there's a place in tech for everyone. And I think what I love about what y'all are doing is, I mean, maybe someone doesn't want to go into tech, but I think that the university has made some incredible moves that really show students, hey, we've got a place for you in no matter what sector. And the two that come to mind, the two big ones are the acquisition of the Southwest School of Arts and the merger with the UT Health Science Center. And so will you talk about that and the impact that's going to have from a student's perspective, but also from future employers?
So I'll start with the employers first because it relates to the student experience. So we've been working with major healthcare companies like AbbVie and Eli Lilly being one of the largest healthcare companies in the world, pharmaceuticals. And we had started building a relationship. They became one of our sponsors for the Career Center. And we had just announced that week that we were integrating with UT Health. So think about it from their perspective, right? They're looking to recruit from all these different colleges, but now not only are they recruiting from UT San Antonio, from UTSA, they're going to be recruiting from UT Health, right? So for them, we're going to be able to recruit doctors, nurses, scientists, business students, right? And so for them, they feel, some employers say, we found a gem. I was in New York about 2 months ago. Yahoo hosted 30 of our students. We had a week-long strategist program with the Najm Center, with Harvey Najm, has funded some of our operations as well, has been a great partner to us because he's seeing our students going into market, going to different companies, being sponsored by Dell or Yahoo. And Yahoo, one of their senior leaders said this: we found a gem. We're a little bit cautious because we don't want other companies to know, but we found something very special in South Texas in UT San Antonio.
So the gem is UT San Antonio. That's the gem is. Now you had said once that like, they had said something about, we've never hired this many people in a cohort.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tell us that?
So we built a relationship with Yahoo. They became a partner of ours. And I was checking in because we do quarterly calls with our key partners. And the recruiting team said, Mario, we have to tell you something. We've never hired our first year as many students as in UT San Antonio. The first year, right? And they're saying, that's why we were invited to New York. That's why we went and took 30 students over there, right? These opportunities are our responsibility to uncover, right? We want the students to go in market and see what it is to be in New York. How many of you have been to New York? A lot of you, right? For many of the students, it was their first time going on a plane, getting on a subway. If you've been on the subway in New York, you learn what New York is all about, right?
Yeah, that's the real world.
Yeah. You know, there was, you know, everything that you can imagine the students saw in that week. But by the end of the week, their confidence had grown so much. And it, you know, imagine going to a corporate office as a first gen student, you know, that, you know, there's a coffee bar, there's ping pong tables, there's all of this. And the students in the beginning are a little bit nervous, right? That, oh, you know, we're invited to this, right? There's media personalities like Ariel Hawani and people walking around their Yahoo studios, right? And so then what ends up happening by the end of the week, the students are going and grabbing coffee on their own. They're not being, you know, asked to, right? But that is our responsibility, is to showcase and inform them of what potential they have and build their confidence. It's, you know, they're doing a lot on their own, but as an institution, we need to foster that.
I think that deserves a round of applause. I mean, that's incredible. You know, the reason that I get so fired up about this is because, you know, when I was managing a co-working space at Geekdom, you know, the economic development is all about momentum. You know, my mentor, Graham Wesley, say everybody wants to be a valued member of a winning team on an inspiring mission. And nobody wants to view their city as the losing team. And so everybody wants to believe that they're in the winning team, that whether it's the company they work for or whether it's the city they live in. And I think that when you start seeing these companies double down and hire more, they're indirectly saying, you guys are winners. You have winning members, and we want to add your winning teammates to our winning team. And I think that the reason that I get excited about this is my prediction for the future. You know, before COVID happened, we had an office of about probably 15 to 20 Amazon employees working at Geekdom. And they were very hush-hush about it. They wouldn't let us, you know, I wanted to blast it to the whole world and they wouldn't let me. But we had that. We had, I know a person that works for Facebook and she says, oh yeah, there's a bunch of us, you know, working out remotely here. But I think what the future is going to be, and this is really for the real estate people in the audience, you're going to see a wave of remote offices. So what's going to happen is Yahoo is going to say, why are we shipping? So there's going to be some young person that says, for whatever reason, I can't move to New York. I can't move to the West Coast. And they're going to say, let's open a remote office here and let's hire those so that we don't lose that talent altogether. But from an economic development standpoint, here's what's going to happen. You're going to start seeing logos on buildings that you've never seen before. You're going to see Disney, you're going to see Netflix, you're going to see Facebook. And I think that that is going to change the psychological mentality. I hope it happens downtown, but you know, we'll share the love to the suburbs. They don't deserve it, but we'll share the love to the suburbs. But I think that, you know, downtown is really what I'm passionate about, because I think downtown is where all our history is. It's where it's the epicenter of our culture. And so I want to shift and talk about downtown a little bit. You know, I used to live at the Majestic, and it was a ghost land at 5 and at 7. And when UTSA and Taylor Amy decided to plant the flag and double down on it, and actually I have a funny story for you. So at the time I was working for the 80/20 Foundation. Taylor Amy becomes the new president of UTSA. He meets with Graham Weston, myself, and Randy Smith. And Graham says, I think you should sell the UT San Antonio downtown campus. You should sell it. It's sort of an orphan. Nobody really cares about it at your university. Why don't you sell it to like Texas Tech? And Taylor Amy was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. That's the worst idea ever. And I'm really thankful he did. And he came back with this incredible proposal. He said, not only are we going to keep it, we're going to move 10,000 students down there. We're going to do the School of Data Science. We're going to do machine learning. And he's really kept his word. And so the first building that came up, I don't know if anybody been to San Pedro 1, it's their new data science building. It's an incredible building, and they're about to finish construction on their second building called San Pedro 2. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about downtown and some of the moves that y'all are making down there.
I wanted to go back to your point about people working remote.
Yes.
It's already happening.
Yes.
And what I have an opportunity to do is uncover those individuals that are working for these major tech companies, major employers that are already doing that here. And it's happening more and more frequently. Work has already changed. And the future of education is to blur the lines with work. And so what we're building downtown is San Pedro 2, which is a careers, innovation, and business building. When we compare ourselves to our peers and other institutions, what President Amy offered was a focus on classroom to career when he arrived in 2018. That set the stage for my arrival in 2019 to serve as executive director of the Career Center. So it was about, we are building UT San Antonio as a pillar for workforce development for the community. And so many other institutions say, we can't do what you're doing. And I'm talking about Ivy League. I get to present at global conferences, and they say we can't do what UT San Antonio is doing because there is a model that it's the academics is kind of independent from career development. At UT San Antonio, it's one and the same. And there's a responsibility on that education that you receive, that there's a return on investment. And so going back is that investment from UT San Antonio in a building that is a flag now, that careers is a priority for the institution. I can't tell you how many universities are visiting from all over the country. We just had universities from New York, from Detroit, from Indiana, California, are visiting us because of the classroom to career engaged learning model that we've developed. And right now we're starting to showcase it. We're starting to be invited at conferences. We're starting to be asked, how does this model work? And it starts with President Amy saying classroom to career. When the president says something, it shifts the entire culture of an institution. And there's very few presidents that are doing that right now.
I think one of the things that I love about is, there's a web company downtown called Heavy Heavy. Shout out to those guys, Darby. And he just has my favorite quote. He goes, you can office anywhere, but downtown's downtown. Downtown is downtown. And when you look at the landscape, just off the top of my head, UT San Antonio, they've acquired One Riverwalk. They've acquired that whole block across from City Hall. They have a whole bunch of property closer to 35. And it's just incredible. They acquired the Southwest School of Art, which gets them a whole other part of Northwest downtown. And the reason that I love it, and the reason that that's important, is two things. The first one is that I believe very strongly that there are several $billion-dollar projects that are happening in and around the urban core. You could say things like the Pearl, Project Marvel is $1 billion, or about $2 billion. But UTSA's development will be about $1 billion. But I believe so strongly that nothing will change downtown for the better more than UTSA. Nothing. We can put 100 stadiums, which, I'm all in favor of, but nothing is going to change the landscape. And the reason I say it is because when you think about college kids in Austin and we close our eyes, we can see them on 6th Street. You see them. And I always say that what the downtown is missing is backpacks. Yeah. Like, we need the backpacks down there. And I want to see really stressed out kids at every coffee shop with their laptop. They're stressed out. I go, that's when downtown will have changed, and that's what's missing is the backpacks. And so I want to talk about the psychology of downtown. Why downtown? Why all this investment? How do the kids respond to being in the downtown environment? And does it matter?
So several points here. The first is that's where the business community is. We want these collisions between industry, alumni, and our students happening. And it energizes the city as well to see students walking around, doing projects, being stressed out about final exam, right? It changes the culture of a city when you have students there. And so for us, we started with our National Security Collaboration Center, which is cyber, and our data analytics programs in San Pedro 1. In San Pedro 2, we will have our College of AI, Cyber, and Computing. The number of employers right now that are reaching out to us because of this program and being a consolidation of different colleges to what is the College of AI, Cyber, and Computing is that these are the future leaders of our companies. And it cuts across all industries. When you're talking about a student in cyber, healthcare, finance, tech, manufacturing, that is a skill set that all industries need. And what's happening at UT San Antonio is we're developing the curriculum very quickly to mirror the needs of industries. And so that's how we started the process of building an aggressive employer engagement strategy, but now they're staying because of the programs that we're building. And so we're letting industry know that we are listening to you. And many times that doesn't happen with universities.
Yeah. But I want to talk about talent for a second. The person or the profile that was like super impossible to hire or keep was I call him the mythical unicorn. The mythical unicorn is the young single person, or in real estate terms, it's oinks and dinks. One income, no kids, dual income, no kids. And so, what I want is I feel like you're the Rosetta Stone for the young talent, and so I want you to help translate, I felt like in my experience that young people choose a city first for the livability. Right. The job is table stakes. Everything else is table stakes. And so I want to just say, are there any trends or patterns that you're seeing when it comes to students picking certain cities, or what is influencing their decision to stay in San Antonio?
It's the amenities. What does the city offer? And we're in competition. Right now, about 80% of our students remain, or rather 90% of our students remain in Texas. But that's because we have a strong economy at the moment. But as soon as there's a shift, students will leave to where there's other opportunities. And that's the responsibility of city leaders, right? Is that you create a city that's a magnet, right? I used to work in Chicago. That's a world-class city that's a magnet for students, or magnet for employees, right? This is the inflection point of San Antonio. Are we going to be a magnet or not?
Yeah, I love that. And I think we do need to be a magnet. I always say that, I don't, when I was younger and foolisher, I used to be in the guilt and shame business. I'm like, why are you leaving San Antonio? Austin, boo-hoo, Austin. And I just think that there's really two types of talent. There are people that want to consume of the cities that have everything. And then there are pioneers. And I would say everyone in this room is a pioneer. The pioneer is the one that's down for the adventure. The pioneer is the one that's down for the chaos, for the lack of rules, and for the terraforming. And it's like, and I think if I'm going to pitch a college, graduating class, it's, hey, most of you are going to go to the place that has the matcha shops and the Pilates studios and the yoga studios. But some of you need to stay here and build the Pilates shops and the matcha shops. And that's really what San Antonio is. And so, what I want to transition to now before we go to Q&A is just some cool stories. I feel like, it might have been the beers that we had that night, but I felt like the stories, were flowing. And I just think that there's so many cool, probably individual students whose lives have been changed because of the work you're doing. And so anything that just jumps to your mind that you want to share with us?
So I'll start off with the things that are happening outside our purview, right? That our students are accomplishing on their own now, because we wanted to build these relationships with employers that hadn't been recruiting here. But now, and I shared it with you, a student landed an internship at Ultimate Fighting Championship. This is one of the fastest growing sports companies in the world. And this student is in our Film and Media Studies program. So let me take a step back. I partnered with our Film and Media Studies program because Netflix invited us to talk about recruiting at UT San Antonio 2 years ago. And they wanted to hear my perspective of recruiting at a Hispanic serving institution, HSI, which UTSA is, UT San Antonio is. And so we went over to Netflix, and Netflix said, we don't just want to have this conversation with you. And we invited other HSIs from all over the country. We wanted to open it up to other companies. Google was there. Riot Games was there. The American Association of Motion Pictures was there. There were about 10 other companies that Netflix was hosting. There's competition in recruiting, right? But they believed in our institution that much that they opened up the conversation. And so what I did is, we're going to Netflix, let's take faculty, let's take our professors. So we had 2 professors that founded our new Film and Media Studies program. And they had producers of Netflix shows meet with our professors. And they started talking about the curriculum. That's where the magic happens. When an employer is talking about the curriculum. That's what we did with Meta. With Meta, they started recruiting with us. They started partnering with our School of Data Science, right? And so what ends up happening is, it's our responsibility to make sure those connections happen. So from that Netflix conversation, Warner Media started recruiting, started informing. Hulu and others are now coming, and producers of different shows are coming to our campus. And so from that, the curriculum's been enhanced, that the students are starting to identify and find companies that we haven't even built a relationship with. And now UTSA and UT Health being merged into UT San Antonio, we're a powerhouse institution for the community. And South Texas and Texas is going to looks at us right now, because we're one of the top 3 public research institutions as of September 1st. We're behind A&M and UT in terms of research expenditures. We're number 3. And that happened September 1 based on the integration.
It's awesome. I think about, when you're talking about Netflix, the Texas legislation passed like a bill recently that I don't know what it was. It was $1 gajillion of incentives for film. And I just think when you combine those incentives plus talent, it's just a matter of time for Netflix as a studio here, a remote office here, and they get knee deep into what we're doing. And I think this is the wave that I was excited to share with everybody here, is that this wave is coming. It's not, we hope that our universities will train really high skilled people. They're doing it. They have been doing it. Not only have they been doing it, but everybody's taking notice. And I think it's just the best kept secret. But hopefully with you all knowing, it's not going to be a secret anymore. And we need the word to get out there. And so I'm just really thankful for Mario spending time to just share this message. And so what I want to do now is I want to open it up to the audience to ask some questions. I mean, Mario is doing just the bleeding edge work in career advancement. And as far as I'm concerned, this is economic development. And so let's open it up. Anybody have a question? I'm going to say it. I'll repeat it for the camera. Yes. I love that. I do want to say, just so we have it on the video, entrepreneurship and AI, we didn't really talk about those. Those are incredible. And you guys are doing awesome things in both of those categories. Great question.
So with entrepreneurship, we took it that it doesn't live in one single area. Entrepreneurship should be taught throughout the institution. So that's a shift that we've made. And so now we have entrepreneurs not only from the Alvarez College of Business, but from our Clessy College of Engineering and Integrated Design, our Liberal and Fine Arts, right? And so we're building entrepreneurship across the institution. On the other side, the bleeding edge is, think about when, this is what I've heard people in the tech community talk about. Okay, so the calculator was invented. You needed to learn how to use the calculator. The internet was invented. You needed to learn how to use the internet. Now AI has been built. It's available. It's accessible. And so the expectation is that you are fluent in AI to really create efficiencies for the role and the function that you're serving. It's still new. Even employers are still figuring it out, but the more access and the more the skills that you develop with AI, the better and more competitive a candidate you will be. So imagine, when the internet arrived, right? And you were applying for a role and you didn't know how to use the internet. The expectation is that you need to know how to use AI for your role.
I think that one of the, I'm just gonna piggyback on that. I remember when I was at the 80/20 Foundation, we had funded the Open Cloud Institute, which is sort of doing bleeding edge on machine learning, AI. And I remember them telling me that USA was coming in and hiring whole cohort, like the whole cohort, just like all 20 kids, like snapping them up. And I think that it's another one of the best kept secrets is that UT San Antonio is doing some of the most advanced tech work there is out there. They were one of the first people to sign on to Open Compute, which was a Facebook initiative. Facebook had sent them, a ton of servers to play with. They're also working right now, and I'm not going to be able to describe it because I'm not that smart, but they're doing something with quantum research, and the Open Cloud Institute is leading it. So UT San Antonio is going and getting all these universities to do this next level quantum research, which I just thought was like in Ant-Man. Like I thought it was a Marvel comic thing, but there's actually a lot of really incredible research they're doing. And I think it's great. I also think that to the point of entrepreneurship, I think that this is also the next wave. The next wave is Rackspace was started because 3 Trinity College students said, you know what? Let's go chase this company. And I think this is what's going to happen, that the next Rackspace will come from UT San Antonio, because you have so many people from all these different disciplines that are meeting each other. And I think then it's just a matter of time for that next company to come.
And I also want to talk about the importance of us maintaining relationships with companies here at home. The investments that USAA and HEB and other companies locally have made have transformed the opportunities that we can offer our students. And so we're talking about multi-million-dollar investments that the companies that are based out of San Antonio are doing. And so we're very appreciative of that as well. HEB gave $2 million for our School of Data Science. USAA gave a gift of $2 million for our College of AI, Cyber and Computing as well.
Awesome. Yes, ma'am.
So does UTSA, I'm sorry, just know it that way, are you having classes or something for business owners to go and learn more about this, so that we need interns, so that we know how it's going to work? Because I'm sure there's business owners here, and it sounds great, but is there a class that we can learn the process of going and how you do it behind the scene? And I have a second question, real quick. The second question is, I'm here in the neighborhood and I own properties right here. And is UTSA looking for more properties, or will they help with another small business? For example, I have a building that I don't know what to do with, and maybe talk to see if there's something we can build that would be with it. But again, I'm a small business, so
So I'm just going to repeat the question. So does UT San Antonio have classes to help small business owners learn about all these incredible programs so that they can have access to that talent, whether it's through internships or things like that? And then as far as expanding their real estate footprint, are they still expanding? What are those plans look like if someone has property that's in the general area of where they're expanding? That's awesome.
So I'll start off with the first question. It really is about how. Well, let me take a step back. We've been identified by an organization to develop AI across our campus. And that not only is within the curriculum for career development, but also for our small business development center as well. So we're right now in those initial stages of that. So more to come there. In terms of the real estate question, that is a conversation or something that we can have offline in terms of the projections and the growth and other acquisitions that may be happening.
There's also an initiative. I don't know if it actually fits your business, but I would look into it. It's called Students Plus Startups, and it's an internship program started by the 80/20 Foundation. They do a lot of work in the downtown area, but I think it's worth looking into because they fund half of the internship for the summer.
And I know our conversation is focused on the larger Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. But across the country, the majority of students are working in small to medium-sized businesses or launching their own businesses, which is a priority for the institution as well. I know that the conversation has been focused on tech and so forth, but most of our students are working for family-owned businesses, they're starting their own businesses, and they're landing with for companies that are small to medium-sized businesses as well.
Yeah, great question.
Internships, all of that. Anyone's interested, I have a team. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll be around, and we can talk about an internship pipeline and a recruiting strategy.
The question is, so just to repeat the question, is there partnerships with the Alamo Colleges network and the smaller institutions officially with UT?
There absolutely is. So we've built a pipeline from Alamo Colleges to UT San Antonio. I work consistently with our transfer students. Not only is our first gen center focused on first gen, but it's a first gen and transfer student center. And so we focus on, one is on prospective students, letting them know about UT San Antonio, their transition into the institution, and supporting them when they've become students and have matriculated into the institution.
Yeah, I think it's also worth noting that, Alamo Colleges is, I believe the largest community college, school in the country. I think it's like 60 or 70,000 students. When you combine that with the other four-year institutions, we have approximately about as many students as Austin or a little bit more. And so we are just sitting on this huge mega pipeline of talent that we just need to, just harness in a more efficient way. So yeah, great question. Yes, ma'am.
Only real estate company here on the west side. And I think that this corridor, the west side, between UTSA and Our Lady of the Lake University, in my own little mind, I've already dubbed it as Cyber West. Okay, so so anyone who wants to get on Cyber West. So my question was any collaboration with Our Lady of the Lake. I think that this corridor on the west side, Buena Vista, Commerce, Guadalupe, there's already so much energy here. I'd like to see more collaboration in this area.
Yeah, is there any collaboration with Our Lady of the Lake?
Yeah, absolutely. Our presidents have conversations in terms of strategy and supporting the West Side. But Cyber West,
Cyber. I was just about that. I don't know. What is it? Cyber West.
Cyber West.
Yeah.
And so we also have a West Side community office here. UT San Antonio has a West Side community center as well, where our students can study. We have, I believe, some programming for small businesses as well, which I can connect you with.
By the way, it's not official till you have t-shirts made.
Yeah.
So as soon as you have a Cyber West t-shirt,
then I could have one, please.
Yes, then it's a legit district. Yeah. What do high school students need to do more to get ready for these opportunities? Great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. What I find is that institutions need to build the confidence of our first gen students. Many times for myself, it was, let me try to figure this out, right? And sometimes, it is, as I've shared countless times throughout this conversation, it's the institution's responsibility to support the students in giving them the social capital of how to apply, go and visit the campus, become familiar with it. Something that we've talked about is building mentorship programs between our UT San Antonio students and high school students as well. That's something that we've been working on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great question. Yes.
I love the conversation. I think we need to have more of these. I particularly loved your opening comments, though, around San Antonio trying to reach its potential. And I've had the opportunity with my work to travel to different cities in the state: Houston, Dallas, Austin, Midland, Odessa. And I agree with you. I think that there's opportunity for San Antonio to capitalize on our size. We have this conversation at work all the time, and we have different opinions. I'm interested to hear your opinion, and if I'm putting you on the spot, I apologize, but what do you think has been the reason why we're not reaching our potential? I agree with the amenities piece, 100%, but when I look at other cities, I look at Austin being our biggest competition.
Yeah.
They just have a different vibe, a different feel to them, right? They carry themselves like a larger city than we do, and we're so much bigger and better.
Yes.
But what's your perspective on why San Antonio hasn't reached its?
I mean, that you're setting me up. It's like no, it's a great question. That question is my love language. I think that progress is a spectrum, and I think on one end you have put our culture and history in a glass case and put it in a museum, right, to never be messed with again, and then you have, let's do self-driving cars and be in a VR set and never talk to a human being and get whiplash by the progress. And I think the key is, what is the happy medium? How do you pay homage to the culture? How do you pay homage to the history? One of the contributors to Voice San Antonio is a real estate guy. And he said the most profound thing to me. He said, San Antonio real estate, and it sounds dramatic, but it's not, is block by block. It is different block by block. And I think that this is what we have to keep in mind when you're doing any form of progress, is that, hey, how do I acknowledge what's happened? How do I acknowledge the culture? And the best case scenario is, how do I integrate it into what we're doing? And then how do we proceed to advance forward? And so I think that, one of the things that I saw when I was at Rackspace was we embraced the culture. They hired me. I'm an inner city Hispanic guy with no college degree, and they embraced it. They embraced the culture of who was here. They trained us up, and they gave us progress, right? I learned about the internet through my time at Rackspace. So I think it can be done. I think there are bad actors, right? And so I think we should always hold them accountable. But I think what we have to do first is that you have to say, this is the mountain we're going to summit. And you have to have an inspiring mission that says, hey, we want to go to A, B, and C place. I think in the conversation we're having I think it's and not or. I think we should say as a city, we want all these huge companies to have offices here, hiring people with great salaries and great benefits and great medical and dental. And we still want also a huge, thriving small business community. I want every taqueria to have more customers than they can scramble eggs for. Okay. That's what I want, and so I think it's an and, not an or. And I also think that there's certain things we're just missing, for example, I'll give you, this is the most controversial one, is, where do young people go to be young and loud and drunk and maybe even puke a little bit on the sidewalk, right? Where do you go? But in San Antonio, there is no place for young people in a dense node, which is why cities like Austin and New York and LA and Miami are these magnets for young people. We as a city for the last 80 years have been a family-only city. And I think it has been to our detriment. And so I'm not saying that every street needs to have a 6th Street on it, but every city needs a 6th Street, and you need to have it there, and it needs to be loud. It's going to be really loud, right, for the people around it, because you have to have a place for young people to go and meet other young people and know and imagine themselves being young in a city. And so I think that, how do you do it? It just goes back to the equation. We can do that by still maintaining our culture, maintaining our history, and then advancing progress. And so I think I don't want it to give too cliche of an answer, but I think you have to keep these variables in mind. But I think what we're missing is we need grand visions. I think one of the things that I'm very happy about in the council side is that we move from 2-year terms to 4-year terms. A 2-year term does not allow you to think long term. It doesn't say we're going to go and chase this grand vision, because they're not going to be there to cut the ribbon. So they're like, I don't care about that. I just want to fix my sidewalk. And so I think we have more opportunities now to have these grand visions, and I look forward to it. I also think it's not exclusive to politicians. I think it's city leaders. I think it's CEOs. I think it's community leaders. We need to be setting some really ambitious goals to say, hey, we're gonna have progress, but we're gonna have it in the right way. Does that answer your question? It's a great question. Yeah. Getting all fired up. Yes, sir.
What you guys are talking about is like very encouraging for the young kids, and it's like, this is like really good. My question is to Mario. Mario, would you happen to know your graduating class from ETSA, for example, how many leaves the area to work elsewhere?
Yeah, the question is how many people leave the area from the graduating classes? Great question.
So 90% of students that graduated from UT San Antonio remain in Texas. And so when we're talking about that the curriculum's being elevated, we're considered an R1 institution in terms of the amount of research that's happening, which is a marker for employers to say, I want to recruit. We're in the top 4% right now. Top 4% in the country right now with that. And now even more with the integration with UT Health San Antonio. So what's going to happen is, what we've started is, these employers are saying they found a gem. There's going to be more employers. And so let me tell you a story. So when I started, about 3 years in, we started having, for the first time on campus, Amazon was recruited, right? I shared Meta, American Express, but it was also important that the companies that had always been recruiting with us for the last 20, 30 years, that we maintain those relationships too, because they're key recruiting partners. What ended up happening is, we would host these large scale events, and the employers that have been recruiting for there's people that have been doing this work for 20, 30 years. They approached me and they said, Mario, how are you and your team getting these companies to recruit? I said, we're showcasing our students now. It's our responsibility to showcase them. You know what they said? We have to step up our game. We have to offer better benefits packages. We have to look, what are the salaries? We want to be able to compete against them. So when we're saying that, all these employers and Lorenzo's vision for these companies to be here, it creates a very competitive marketplace where you can negotiate, offers against each other, right? And that's what's coming if we do it right.
Yeah. Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
In today's political environment, what impacts is you San Antonio seeing either favorably or disabled to our immigrant population?
Yeah, great question. In the current political environment, what impact has UT seen from an immigration standpoint? Is that the question? Yeah, great question.
So my expertise is in career development. So I'll talk about it from that lens, right? And so for the community, the issue of workforce development is politically, it's not one side or the other. It's about the preparation of the candidates and the students that benefit the economy. So I'm not struggling with the messaging and the vision and the classroom to career programming that we offer, because it's relevant to both sides. So that's the lens that I can answer it from. Okay.
I do want to add to that. I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but there was a great article written by Better Futures, Beto here, and David Robinson Jr. about the South Texas Triangle. And what I love about that is, like, I feel like sometimes we get into this this really bad game of competing with Austin and places like Dallas, when we should focus on our strength, which is the South Texas Triangle, which goes all the way to Monterey. And I think when you look at that triangle that goes south, we are Manhattan to that population. And I think that even though Austin and San Antonio are relatively close, they could not be more worlds apart. And I think that we need to double down on, hey, this is, I hired a guy once from Torreon, and he said in my interview, he said, in Mexico, we have a saying, we say San Antonio is the most northern city in Mexico. And I just thought, there it is right there in one line. And I think that that's the population that we need to be marketing to so that we can attract them.
And what's happening because the economy is growing in this corridor, right, is that now employers from Mexico are starting to look at us for their talent. And our students many times are also bilingual, right? So it's another advantage that we have as a community and as an institution.
Awesome. All right, some closing remarks. I just want to get a round of applause for the Cafe Connect team and Tanya and their team. Thank you so much. And also give it up for Mario. He's an incredible guy.